Hey everybody. Today there's a couple things that I wanted to do. One is I want to show you. I went down into my basement and pulled out a box of Australian Daybills that I haven't gone through in a really long time, at least 10 years, and I've got just stuff all over the place. It's easy for me to lose track of some of this stuff, but just wanted to show you some of the Australian Daybills I really like for a couple different reasons. Number one, usually you can pick them up fairly inexpensively, and they're small, so you can display them, a lot more of them, with somewhat limited wall space, which I don't have limited wall space. I have so much wall space in this place that yeah, this is like, my house is, I think it's like 2,300 square feet, so I've got plenty of wall space to show this stuff off, but of course that translates into a lot of money in custom framing, because I always have my collector posters custom framed to protect them. But I'm just going to show you a few of them here. It's kind of fun. One is Final Exam. Great poster art, not such a great movie, but we'll be touching more on bad horror when I'm done showing off these posters. And then another one of this is one of my favorite movies of all time, is My Bloody Valentine. Interesting alternate artwork, kind of fun, but kind of cheesy at the same time. I like the U.S. poster art a lot better. The one negative about Australian Daybills is that they tend to be on cheap paper, which means you have to handle them with a little bit more care than with others. But here's one for Madman. Kind of fun. One thing I do tend to like about these too is they a lot of times will have still photos incorporated into the poster, which is kind of fun. My favorite format, obviously, is still the US one sheets. I think those are just great. Here's one for The Boogans, another one of my favorite movies. Just great. It's got, see, once again, it's got some great art. And this one I love too, because the gal who's depicted in that picture is the same actress that played Wendy from Prom Night, who is one of my favorite horror movie bitch victims. And before anybody gets ready to start calling me a misogynist, what I mean by bitch victims is that in that movie she was a bitch and she was a victim, but she was great. This is one of my favorite ones that I have for The Beyond. This one needs to be pressed. It's been rolled for so long that it has roll marks in it now, so I'm going to have that one pressed out. And that one's going to be framed. The next one to be framed. Then we have Scanners, which is great. I'm glad that they kept the original art concept on that one as well, just because it's so iconic. I have so many of these. I had forgotten. Like, going through these is kind of fun. The Burning. Another one that's going to have to be pressed out. I love this really cheesy header on it. Today is not Friday the 13th, but if you see this movie alone, you'll never be the same. The Burning is already a ripoff of Friday the 13th, so to actually incorporate that into the poster just makes me laugh. But I love The Burning. It's one of my childhood favorites. I also have The Howling, which had great artwork. Once again, very iconic artwork. Another one that apparently needs to be pressed. I love it. So far, none of these have pinholes in the corners, which is really nice. I think a lot of these must have been in storage for well over 10 years. No, much longer than that. For about 13, 14 years. This is one of my favorites. This actually isn't an Australian Daybill. This is a U.S. insert. So it's on heavier cardstock with much more vivid printing, vivid colors. But Happy Birthday to Me, my favorite ad campaigns of the 80s, the early 80s. Happy Birthday to Me, My Bloody Valentine, Hell Night, just the Fun House. Those are some of my top top picks as far as art for these movies. And now I just wanted to touch a little bit on, like I said, I'd be getting back to bad horror films. You know, technically speaking, I guarantee that about 90% of the movies that we as horror fans, movies that we love, would not be considered good movies by any stretch of the imagination. So it's kind of, it's kind of redundant to say that a horror movie was bad. Well, in what way was it bad? Was it bad because just on technical merit, like the lighting, the acting, whatever? We've all heard the term "so bad, it's good." I love those. I love movies that are so bad they're good. But very few movies actually achieve that as a consensus, like actually achieve that as a recognizable mark or designation. Troll 2 is one that is considered so bad it's good. Troll 2 makes me laugh, but it's so over the top, beyond ridiculous that I've seen it maybe 2 or 3 times in my life, and I don't think I can tell myself to see it again. It's just, but see, that's what I mean. It didn't. Troll 2 I didn't respond to it in any kind of cerebral way. And never having seen it as a child, I don't have any kind of nostalgic reference point for it, or you know. But other movies like Hell Night is a good example. A lot of horror fans said that Hell Night sucked. I love Hell Night. I love that movie. I can find 50 different things about that film that I enjoyed. The cinematography, the acting is terrible, but there's actually aspects of it that are really good, and I can you know, lay all these things out and try to argue my point. But if somebody watches that movie and they don't have the nostalgic reference point that I have, i.e. having seen it like as a kid and just remember having a good time because you're seeing this forbidden, scary movie, no matter what I say, you're just not going to enjoy it. Does that make it a bad film? Absolutely not. And that can be said of any movie. Another one that I love that other people don't like is, or tend not to like, is The Fun House. I really enjoy The Fun House. Now, I do understand that it's not a good film. But I know that. I mean, I know that when I pop in a horror movie, most of them aren't going to be good. But I am going to respond to it positively because of some kind of a cerebral response that I get from that particular movie, whereas somebody maybe younger than me isn't going to have that response. Some horror movies that are considered really, really good, I don't do anything for me, period. And not surprisingly, a lot of those movies are the more current horror movies. I'm consistently disappointed with modern horror. Now, does that mean that those movies aren't good? No. It's just because of the way that my mind interprets aesthetics and interprets atmosphere and character development, and even the clothing that the actors are wearing. Like if somebody in there is wearing like a bunch of Ed Hardy or something like that, I immediately equate that person as being a douchebag, and therefore I put up a negative wall. Now, does that mean that that movie is not worthy of someone else enjoying it? Absolutely not. It is my personal opinion. The one thing that I find really disconcerting, and the reason why I'm bringing up this whole topic, is because I mostly work out of my home, and so I have the luxury of being able to spend an inordinate amount of time on YouTube, and I love hearing other people's opinions about horror movies, and so I watch a lot of reviews, and I'll watch videos where people go into great detail about a horror movie that they've just seen and they loved it, and they'll go on and on and on about it. And then in the comments below, people will say, you're a fag because you like this movie, that movie sucked, this, that, and the other, and, you know, and I just don't understand why people have to get so personal and so, like, intense about responding just because somebody liked a movie. It's like, face it, dude, what movie is it that you like? I might think that that movie sucked. Am I going to go on your review and tear you a new asshole because you liked a movie? It's none of my business. Now, granted, when you do a review in a public forum like this, you know, you are kind of putting yourself out there a little bit, and I do understand that, and I'm sure that I've, you know, covered movies that other people may in turn watch because I said that I really enjoyed it, and then they'll be like, well, that movie sucked, you know, and, you know, so be it, but at least you've added it to the collection of movies that you've seen. You know, what else can I say? And what's the biggest loss? You know, 85, 90 minutes of your life and a $2 rental, and or most likely a free download or watching it here on YouTube for free. And so what's there really to get so upset about? I know that horror fans can be really, really intense. Not quite as intense as sci-fi fans can get. Sci-fi fans are ridiculous, but I'm not really a huge sci-fi fan, so you know, fortunately I don't have to. You run across them at conventions and stuff every once in a while, and those people are freaking nuts. But no offense to those of you who are sci-fi fans as well. My whole purpose here isn't to offend anybody. In fact, it's to kind of do the opposite. It's kind of a, you know, asking people to, you know, just sit back and take things and, you know, get things in perspective. Like, is it, you know, relax a little bit. These are horror movies. These are 90-minute thrill rides that we all voluntarily go on because there's something about horror that we enjoy. So, in my opinion, it's really unnecessary to go on and leave comments that are just personal and hurtful, and, you know, not that we don't have the balls to be able to take it, but it's just, you know, why do it in the first place? Get a life, you know? I mean, yeah, I may live, breathe, and sleep horror, but I have a life. You know, it doesn't make me feel any bigger of a person to go on and flame somebody's opinion about a particular movie. But anyway, and that being said, I hope to bring you more. I really need to go down and go through my collection a little bit deeper. There's whole boxes of things down there that I haven't touched in over a decade, so I need to go through those and see what treasures are in there, and I might have some more fun stuff to share with y'all. But anyway, and I love seeing your collections, so if you guys have collections out there, I love watching videos on people's poster collections. Some of you guys have some shit that I would kill for, so feel free to share, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and feel free to comment below. Just don't be an asshole.